Hey everybody, welcome back to June. This is June 11th, Wednesday, 2025 on the Real Estate Note Investing Be the Bank broadcast. And today I'm going to have Jamie, Chris, Jay, and Dan on the show. Main topic today is going to be about fraud in our industry, and we've got a few stories to tell. So stay tuned. Happy Hump Day.
What's up?
Hey,
Guys.
hey, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Well, hi, Jay. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
If you guys didn't notice, I'm wearing my Pacer hat because today is game 3 and it's at home.
Absolutely. Yes.
Very, very important day here in Indiana.
Are you going to be courtside or 2 rows back this time?
I did look at tickets. I looked at them probably a week ago, and they were really close to $1,000 for the highest
nosebleeds
for the nosebleed section.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what's interesting is I work for a company that they used to be able to get tickets that were like right behind the bench for the Celtics. So I went to games and stuff. There's nothing more awkward looking than watching those players sit on those chairs because their knees come like up to their like here because they're regular like chairs, but they put padding to try and like make them, but they're so tall. It's like the most uncomfortable thing watching them try and sit. It's yeah. And then trying to see over them. Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time when my daughters were little, they got to participate in this thing where they got to go out in the court and high five the Nuggets players as they came in at the game. And like, the little girls are like reaching up and all the players are like bending over to high five them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
gosh.
stuff. So let's see. I just got back from vacation, as you guys know, last week. It was my first time on a cruise. I took my 2 daughters with me, so that was fun. I'd say I would do it again, but I definitely would probably change things up a little bit. Maybe invite like a bigger group of family to go. I thought that'd be more fun that way. But I can't remember. Did the rest of you guys go on a cruise before or been on a cruise?
Yeah, I've done a couple of them. It's
30
been a little
years
while.
since I've been on one.
Them.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's taken me so long to get on a cruise. I think it just didn't sound fun to me whenever I was doing it. So
Hey, it didn't take you that long. Okay. I mean, I was 63, I think, or 62, 63 before I went on my first one. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, we went out to Hawaii. We did the little cruise. My wife gets seasick or car sick really easily. So.
Okay.
We made it through fine, though.
Awesome. So for those of you watching live, obviously we would like for you to comment if you hear something or you want to ask us a question about anything, really. It could be, about fashion or notes. We're open to any kind of comment that you would like. Please keep it appropriate. Use it on any social platform that you're on right now. And Chris, I was going to ask you a question. I just totally spaced what I was doing.
Probably Hopefully not about fashion. Hopefully not about fashion.
No, definitely not.
You do not want me talking fashion.
So let's get into the main topic today. So fraud is a subject matter that has been brought up between us outside of this platform here. And we thought it would be a good conversation to bring up today. And I know some of you have experienced some things recently. And I'll just kind of start off just because I have something kind of minor, but I think we all just need to practice it daily as investors or as people investing in something. And that is wire fraud. So I have just been more aware of hearing more and more different ways that wire fraud is done. Not as far as someone what I mean by that is like somebody like stealing your email or stealing like the information that goes across in the email. Like I wasn't too aware of that as I am now. And so I'm really careful. And so the ways that I protect when I do a transfer or receive a transfer is I have somebody always contact me to ask me verbally for the information to verify that it's true. And then I also make sure I contact somebody on the other end and verify that they're the person I've been, working with or dealing with, and verify the information over the phone as well. And I don't know what other measures you guys can take to make it more safe than that, but if you guys have any comments about making it more secure, let me know of a different way.
Yeah, the one thing we do to add on to that is I've actually worked for a company where they had a very large wire go out, and the person must have been watching their email because it was a commercial real estate deal that they had to pay the broker.
Mhm.
And the CFO got an email that morning from the broker. It's like, hey, I need the money wired to me today from the closing. Here's my information. Never verified it, went and wired it, and it was a fraudulent transaction. The one thing we 100% always call the verify, but what we also do is if the person's sends the wiring instructions, we'll either check like an old email or Google the phone number as well, just to make sure it's their office that we're calling.
Yeah.
A lot of people we transact with, let's say I'm buying a loan from Jamie and wiring it, I've got Jamie's number already, or if it's Jay, I might not have your cell, but it's like, okay, I have an email from you that I can say, hey, give me your contact information. So I usually don't use the email that has a wire instructions phone number. I'll verify and confirm the phone number as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Actual right person, because you might call the verify, but you might be actually calling the scammer.
Yeah,
that's true. It seems like it's so easy for them to do stuff like that, just for the regular person that doesn't do as many transactions as we do. They're gonna not think twice about it. Like, oh, it's an email, right? There's no way no one saw that in an email, because they think it goes, from one connection point to another, encrypted or whatnot. And no one can kind of, what they call it, sniff it out.
Yep.
So
crazy today with AI, like you can impersonate anybody's voice nowadays too. So it's, I could impersonate Jamie's voice. So somebody called me and just type something that talks like Jamie, and it's like, oh, I thought I was talking to Jamie.
Wait, have you guys been doing that to me the whole time?
No.
Yeah.
So I do it to Jamie on certain websites. So he's going to be famous soon.
Is it real or Memorex? There you go.
To get us back on track, if you have a team maybe like Chris does, if you're sending wires, you can have two people. A lot of banks will require this too, is have one person initiate the wire and then another person approve it.
Yeah,
we do that. Yep,
makes sense.
So
dual authorization, is that what it's called?
Yeah, exactly.
What other type? I can't remember I know a couple of you had different stories recently, and please feel free to chime in if you have a fraud story you want to talk about in our business, our real estate note mortgage business. I know Chris has a good one, but
Chris has a good one.
Chris
I've got a good one, but we can save that one.
It might be
I've got
lengthy.
one. I can do the warm-up one.
All right.
There you go.
So this one, I'm not really sure what I could have done to prevent it. So what happened was it wasn't actually doing a transaction. I had this existing performing note, and one of the things you do every month is kind of go through and see what borrowers missed payments.
Mm-hmm.
And this one loan had been paying pretty steadily, and I noticed that he had missed a couple payments in a row. And so I was wondering if I needed to start foreclosure, because I hadn't heard anything. I'm looking at like the servicing records, like what's going on. And, one of the things I do is I like to look up the property on Zillow just to kind of get an idea of, okay, because it had been several years since I bought this note. Like, what's this worth? Like, what am I into it for? What am I maybe looking at? And when I pulled the property up online, I noticed that it had sold like a couple months previously. And I'm like, oh, what the heck? Because I didn't hear anything. And for a second, I got scared. I'm like, I recorded that, right? Like the mortgage, right? And I checked, and I did. And I had everything. I'm like, okay.
Sudden panic there for a second.
I did have a bit of panic.
That's when your butt goes. Wait
Yeah,
a
I went
minute.
like cold. I was like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, so I did all the stuff. This is right. So what's going on? And called the borrower. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? Did you sell? She's like, yeah, I sold it a couple months ago. Closed at a title company, did this, did that. And I'm like, well, I never got the money. So I talked to the servicer, and they had some back and forth with the title company, and they had provided them payoff estimates and things like that a couple months before, but they're like, yeah, nothing ever came through. So I'm like, okay. So I ended up, the borrower gave me the names of his realtors. I started talking like to some of the agents and tried to call the title company. Their number had changed. It led to this attorney. But basically, what had happened was the lady who owned the title company, Wendy Worley in Huntsville, Alabama, had owned the title company since 2007. Apparently, on this transaction and at least a few others, money didn't get wired, and she had like shut the title company down. So it looked like the title company had like taken the money and ran.
Mhm.
And I couldn't get a hold of her. She was like off the grid. And so what ended up happening, talking to the one agent, was apparently like friends with this lady who owned the title company, and she was like really upset at what happened. And I said, well, my fallback is I still have a valid lien on the property. Like, I can foreclose on this. That's pretty crappy for the buyer, but I still have an enforceable lien. The property's good. So in like a doomsday scenario, that's what I can do.
Yeah.
And the realtor was worried, because I guess the buyer of the property, she said, was some kind of drug dealer. This was in Alabama, so some drug dealer from Michigan who owned it. Now, God only knows like what this guy was. She talked like he was Scarface, but she was also pretty upset. I mean, the guy might have had a pot plant or two in his garage for all I know, right? But she was worried. But what ultimately happened was she was able to get a hold of the title company lady, and a couple days later she came on the grid and wired the funds back, and I got paid in full. So that was really as far as it went. Now, I believe I would have gotten paid anyways, either through foreclosing on the property, or I don't really know the details of how this works, but I assume if you're running a title company, you've got licensing, and there's probably like a surety bond or other things. I don't know how long that takes, but I wasn't too worried about eventually getting paid.
I'll let you know how long it takes.
Yeah, I know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Chris will know.
But yeah, but I mean, I've never considered that a title company would steal the money. Like that's like the last. I mean, that's like depositing money in a bank, and the bank just steals it. Like that's super strange. So, like I said, it's just a note that
Or
I
the
own.
bank closing down, being shut down, closing down.
Well, that could happen, but then there's like FDIC and things like that can apply depending. But
Well, you bring up some.
$250K.
Yeah, you bring up something about title companies, Dan, that when you told me the story before, and now thinking about it again now, it makes sense to use like a reputable title company. I know you didn't pick this title company to begin with in this situation. You were kind of handed this thing, but it makes you, want to verify your vendor that you're working with to make sure like, they're bonded, insured, and they have like a legit status in the industry, and like they might be a franchise, of a bigger organization too. So,
Yep.
Van down by the river title, probably don't go with them.
I've got a couple fraud stories. I can knock one out quickly and then save the longer one for if we have time.
If we have time for Chris's.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm saying I have a longer one as well if we have time after Chris's.
You get one, Jamie, one story.
Okay.
I was just going to mention, like, before I tell mine, the different ways of fraud in this business.
Yeah.
For example, there is a note fund that also ran a servicing company that is in legal battle right now because it's alleged they were selling the same loan to multiple people. or they
Mhm.
didn't own the loans and they were selling them. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about that. This is know your seller, where, if, somebody sold you a loan and they sold it to 3 other people
Yeah.
and it hasn't been
Oh,
recorded yet,
I've got
nothing to
this.
do. Go ahead, Jamie.
This was not going to be one of my stories, but
Yeah.
Know your counterparty.
you just reminded me,
Yeah.
Chris. I had a CFD contract for deed land contract that I purchased early on in my career, and then I can't say that it was fraud for sure, but man, I think it probably was an attempt at that. But we had recorded everything, and then the person I purchased this from went back and re-recorded it back into her name. And I didn't catch that right away, so we had to re-record it, undo all that, and I'm pretty sure she was just essentially trying to keep the loan herself, the land contract. But that wasn't the story I was going to tell. And this is the shorter one. I've got a longer one that's PPP fraud related. Was pretty intense and stressful. So I'll just knock out this one, then Chris can then share the fun
Can I
one.
just add one comment before you go?
Yeah.
I just want to be clear that Jamie and I had affiliations with a servicing company, both run funds. That wasn't the company that was involved. Neither one of us. I just want to be clear. Like,
Disclaimer.
you guys,
Just
like,
making
it
sure.
is.
That's a good point. Chris, glad you
true.
brought that up. That's a very good point.
No,
Al.
and that's something that we had
There's
everything.
still pending litigation that many people are aware of.
Everything was very separated, whereas theirs was everything was under one big umbrella,
Yeah.
and ours was very compartmented, our different entities. But I had a case where I purchased a performing loan in Tampa, Florida, and the guy had a strong history of making payments. It was a pretty, certainly at the time for me, it was a larger dollar deals. I think it was, I want to say it might have been a principal balance of over 100K. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And the guy, as soon as we purchased the loan, the borrower stopped making payments, and he'd been paying all along for years. And then he, I can't remember all the details, but come to find out, basically a company, and I looked it up in the last few minutes, company called Home Matters USA. You can look them up. And they happen to come up on the FTC site here for a case from 2024. And but this was 2021 or so. My borrower was got letters, was contacted by Home Matters USA, who claimed that they were going to work with him to modify his loan, lower his payment, and all this stuff if he would just start send the payments to them. So he sent 10 or 11 months worth of mortgage payments to this Home Matters USA. Even though we had all the proof that we owned this loan, we were the lender, and the servicer actually I didn't change servicers. It was the same servicer, which was FCI. And, but this guy refused to believe me that, we were the ones he should be sending the money to. He actually scheduled a call with me. I remember he was a truck driver. I think he was a good guy with, maybe some health issues and things, but was completely being taken advantage of. I really was left with no choice but to pursue foreclosure. And so we did, and took almost a year. As you guys know, Florida can be time consuming and expensive. We didn't get through the whole foreclosure, but eventually he did. Somehow we worked it out. He finally realized this was serious, and he was going to lose his home. Probably was $10,000 or $12,000 in legal fees and whatnot that he ended up having to pay for, and he lost all the money that he had that he'd sent for 10 or 11 payments, which was quite a substantial amount. So fast forward, I ended up getting a payoff once this guy sold the property within the last 1 or 2 years, which was unrelated to the fraud. But at the end of the day, I wasn't being defrauded, but I wasn't getting my payments as I was expecting to. And so I felt bad for this borrower, but I don't know what else to tell you. It's like you can either believe me or not, but if you don't, then I'm going to foreclose. With the modification and everything, it's just, at the end of the day, he ended up losing probably $15,000 in all this, or maybe even $20,000. because he was defrauded by this company. But I see the FTC has a case against them and similar companies. So that was my short story. Any questions, comments about
Yeah,
that?
I got a question. I got a question on that, Jamie. You said it was being serviced by FCI. Did
Yeah.
and you didn't change servicing
Didn't change
companies?
servicers.
So why would he? I'm just thinking, why would he think he would need to be sending it someplace else
Well,
if he's been?
my guess is that this company and similar companies, it looks like they used different names, would monitor assignments and the recording of assignments, and then they reached out to him and made him believe.
But FCI would have should have notified him also that the
They
assignment
would have
had
sent a
taken place.
TILA letter, transfer,
Yeah.
the transfer of lender letter, whatever. But
Right.
but the payments should have continued to go to FCI. But he fell for this
Yeah.
company's pitch
Yeah.
that, hey, so I mean, to your point though, I mean, FCI wasn't offering a loan modification. Home Matters USA was offering
Sure.
better terms for him. So it's like, oh, well, I'll take that,
Yeah.
So he started sending payments there. So I'm guessing they monitored the recordings of assignments and then reached out to the borrowers and tried to rip people off. So I haven't read this case or anything, but
Wow.
yeah, I felt really bad for him, but I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's still
Maybe find a
legally
local
responsible.
attorney. Can you find a local attorney there that does pro
I
bono?
was doing that. We recommended. I think we recommended attorneys for him. It's like, if you're not going to believe me, then at least I don't know. It's like, get an attorney and see what. I mean, it's a good idea, Justin, but I don't think he followed through with that.
That's too bad.
So
Yeah, I'm trying to resolve something with a borrower right now on basically something, and I'm like, please get an attorney, because they're like, this is the wrong document. This isn't the right document from your attorney. I'm like, no, it is. Can you please get an attorney to review this? Like, because
right.
you're trying to argue saying you know more than my attorney. Like, no, you don't. So
Yeah.
But, so
Jay, did you have any fraud stories to come to mind?
So far, in my experiences, I have not stepped in the poo yet. So on this one, so this is a little. I've not had any experiences with fraud, or else I'm just too dumb and haven't seen it yet. One or the other. I'm not sure which, but I will say we work really hard in making sure we know and vet out who our counterparty is, whenever we're working with someone new, and that we do some background checks. And if we're going to buy a note for someone I don't have some type of relationship with, we're going to search them out and do a lot of research and find out who they are, their track record, and ask around with other people in the industry that we are comfortable with. Say, hey, do you know this person or anything like that?
That's what's great about this community, especially the five of us. When we message each other, if we have an issue with something, or at least we can share experience. And then on this platform, which is exactly what's designed to do, is to share these things so that everyone else is aware. Like, hey, if you're not doing these things, this is how you protect yourselves. So learn from other people's mistakes. I've seen some pretty what I consider very seasoned people in this business still have issues on just random things in the industry, whether it's fraud or whether it's just, bad practice or whatever. So none of us are above it not happening to us. It's just, we're all trying to take approaches to prevent as much as we can of negative things affecting us. So
yeah, I mean,
and that's not to say that there's not mistakes that are made. I mean, we're all human. There's all mistakes that take place. But even in those situations where mistakes have been made, we've been able to go back and get them corrected and cleaned up and everything. And we've had willing parties on both sides of the equation. And that's the key factor. It's not a scenario where someone just goes dead on you. All right. In that respect.
Chris, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, like the wire fraud thing, just remembered, I mean, there's an investor that I think some of us know who wired multi-million dollars out to a party, and it was not the right party, and now has been embroiled in lawsuits for years to try and collect it. But who knows if they're ever gonna get that money. And that's awful. to say the least. I literally, right before this call, because we were talking about wire fraud, I have 2 emails in my inbox that are spam about click on this link to see your HUD statement or closing or wiring instructions at. I have no clue who they are, but they look like they're from like First American, which that's what a lot of them will do, but they're spam. So that's, and if you click on it and open it, now they might have you because they, might be planting a virus. Who knows? But yeah.
So what did the settlement statement look like?
I have no idea. I see. We have what's called fish line training, PH, fish, like PH for fat. And I have to take it as part of a company, as part of our auditing requirements, that we have to take a course every month on all that fun stuff. So, and I took mine earlier in the week.
That's good that you guys do that, though, because I'm sure there's things you probably don't even realize, like, oh, that's something I never even noticed before.
Yep. So,
ready, Chris?
Yeah. So mine's interesting, and this is one where it's like, okay, I really couldn't step into poo-poo, but I guess like the poo-poo just got flung at me, I guess, Jay, because
given flinging.
Yeah. So so we bought, and this kind of plays along with like Jamie's, where this lender, I'll call them, is extremely sophisticated because they knew the property was in foreclosure, and they knew the borrower also had it on the market for sale. So we'll call him, what can we call him? We'll call him Peter. Peter originated a loan in like 2019 to an investor on a rental property, multifamily property in a state on the East Coast. And the borrower was behind significantly, like 2 years behind. So a lot of accrued interest, and it had, some default interest on it as well. But Peter sold the loan to, we'll call it Ryan, in 2022. Ryan bought the loan in 2022 and was getting payments, and it went to default in 23 and sold the loan to me in April. And we knew the property was on the market, and it was,
sorry.
What? Yeah, you can call me Chris. So, okay. Yeah, you can call me Chris. I've got no, it's like, man, a few good note investors, Colonel Jessup, reminded me of Dan, like, you're the last person I want to screw with. And I'm like, the wrong note investor.
Exactly.
That's kind of what's going on here. So I bought it from Ryan. And, basically during the servicing transfer from mid-April and all assignments have always been recorded. Like, so Ryan's assignment was clearly recorded. Send the borrower the goodbye letter and the hello letter as well. And, right on May 1st. But Peter stayed in contact with the borrower during this time. And the borrower told him, oh yeah, we're, finally got it resolved, and we're selling the property on May 15th or May 10th or whatever the date was, and sold the property, and had Peter, who gave this borrower a fake payoff letter, and basically sent it to the title company. Title company, and interestingly enough, on the payoff letter, it actually says, like, Peter says in the payoff at the bottom that, yeah, I actually sold this loan. But title company don't know what happened. Can't, I'm not going to assume how they operate. The way we found out about it was, so we saw on Zillow, like, property sold, but sometimes it just may have gone off market, whatever the case may be. And this was like a week or so ago. So we email a title company and are like, hey, and the reason we found the title company information is in this state, if a property is in foreclosure, they file what's called they file a document to let them know that, like, someone's interested in the property, which you'd think if the title company knew that, they would also reach out to the attorney and see who the lawsuit is with. And, but hey, look, I can't comment on, all that stuff. I'm just, sitting here, comfortably rocking back in my chair.
Is it Liz Pendens, or is that different?
No, it was like
Oh,
like it was
okay,
like
never
a
mind.
notice to. It's like a notice to purchase is really what it is. It's like
Okay.
I think it's called a settlement agreement. But it's got like the buyer's name, who they're using for a mortgage, the settlement company's name. I mean, it's got everyone's name on it. So I saw a settlement company, so I'll email a guy and say, hey, we bought the loan and it just got transferred. And if you need a payoff, reach out. Here's my servicers. And he's like, yeah, this loan closed 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, where'd the money go? And he's like, oh, it went to the lender. And I'm like, well, it clearly didn't because I'm the lender. So we reached out to FCI, who was servicing the loan originally. Servicing it to us. And we're like, hey, did you get a payoff or did you get anything? Or like, and then we asked the seller, did you have somebody else subservicing this or anything? And they're like, nope. And FCI is like, no, you've got everything we got. And we're like, okay. So, they send me this guy's information, his wiring instructions. So I call the guy, and first the guy is like, no, this can't be right. Let me look into it. I'm like, well, I'll send you the payoff letter, and thinking, okay, maybe they service their own loans and they forgot to click on the button that says we don't have this anymore, and so forth and so on. But
Yeah.
it just, it smelled a little rotten, but
Starting to smell, yeah.
I'm like, I will take somebody for the benefit of the doubt initially and so forth and say, maybe it was an accident, and, basically, see what happens. So I mentioned this to our attorney, and my attorney just puts his head down. And I'm like, uh-oh. And he's like, this is not the first time, this has happened. And of course, there's case law out there about this, and there's actually a judgment against this guy literally from like a month ago. But yeah, so he's like, oh man. I'm like, okay, so what happens? He's like, well, the borrower is completely the one, well, I don't want to say the borrower still owes me the money. Okay. He sold the property. My deed of trust is still on the property. So this new purchaser who got a loan is basically in a second position.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a foreclosure where I could still go sell this foreclosure sale, which if I do that is going to create a complete whirlwind, because the title company and the lender, the new borrower owner's title company, is going to go completely berserk because like, wait, we bought this, we got clean title, what is going on? But my attorney did reach out to Peter, and Peter's comments back were, I disagree, this is not your money, it's my money, because outside of this loan, I've also given this borrower some other funds, so these are mine and I'm going to keep them. But to settle this deal, I'll send you basically what you paid for the loan, and that's it. You don't get any profit from the deal. So I did a very, responsive response, to my attorney, and let him know that I was not going to accept that settlement, and may have added a little bit more color commentary, to it, to my response. But yeah, and so long story short, the original lender inserted themselves back into the situation to collect the money that is not theirs. Nothing I could do, nothing anybody could do. And now it's going to be a shit show.
I feel
this
like
gets edited.
But you can still foreclose, right? Or you mean? It
Oh
sounds
yeah,
like you're kind of in a
so that was the first thing.
position
I'm like,
where I was in.
I'm like, oh man,
Right.
am I like screwed out of this money? And basically, basically my attorney's like, well, no, because you've got title insurance already,
Mhm.
but also like you didn't get the money, you don't have to satisfy this loan. So
Yeah.
you still go
Right.
foreclose. Like
It's like
you
it
know,
is like yours, Dan.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
So we're gonna continue and see what happens. And now here's the other component that I'll throw in there. Good old Petey discounted the payoff by over $100,000.
The other thing I was gonna add is, why would he offer to send you any money if
Anything.
Yeah.
if he's not in the wrong, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Well,
I
almost,
think he was
Exactly.
just trying to
Yeah.
see if he would fall for it.
but it's just
Yeah.
like I'm saying, it's like an admission of guilt, basically.
Yeah.
Like, why
It's
would
basically like, oh, am I hard up for money and I'll just take anything? Like, no. And I literally hope the title company presses wire fraud charges and everything else against you, because what you did is, in my mind, completely fraudulent.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
So
This should be
So
jail
who,
time.
so you didn't, you like you said, the poo got thrown at you, but who do you think should have, who was not operating fraudulently, should have done a better job? I guess the title company.
Title company, I would say
Yeah.
on
I'll let
this,
you guys
they
answer
should have
that,
caught this.
because
They should
you
have
know,
caught it.
I don't want to
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
public
I agree.
recording
Sounds
tell
like the title when the
opinion
person
on-
sold the property, that title company that did that transaction, they didn't
Mhm.
do their due diligence.
No.
Yeah, I don't know how far a title company needs to go to confirm that. So
Mhm.
What
yeah,
Right.
when was the sale, to your knowledge, when was the date of that closing? And then when was your assignment recorded?
my
Were they-
assignment actually was not. Actually, my assignment is got recorded 2 days ago, I think.
Okay. So the Ryan, I think you said, was the person you bought it.
Yeah.
So that Ryan had it recorded before
Yeah.
this sale
Oh,
happened.
Ryan had it recorded
Yeah.
years ago.
So then that title company should have, their department should have caught the fact that the current lender is Ryan here.
What they should have done is called Ryan and said, we need a payoff. Ryan would have called FCI, and Ryan would have said, hey, we sold this loan to Seveney. You got to contact them. And we would have said, hey, it's still being serviced at FCI, and have FCI send the payoff. But they just, I think a comment that was made was they got the payoff from the borrower.
Why would you ever accept that as a title company? That's like the Fox Garden and Hen House.
I wonder if it's what'd you say that imaginary title company was? Dan by the river.
Down by the river title.
Down by the river, Dan.
I wish I could refinance and have my current my new lender ask me for a payoff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, let me go get that for you. You
It
know,
was $12 million. I'm pretty sure.
so I owe $3 on my existing mortgage, so the rest is a cash out to me.
I just hope that the title company has really good E&O insurance, because they're going to be tapping into that big time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I hope they remedy your situation quickly.
so here's a question I have, and my attorney's on vacation. Well, one of my attorneys who I use is on vacation this week.
Mhm.
So if I'm alleging this guy interfered third party into a transaction he wasn't supposed to, alleged. So would it be me suing him, or it's like, hey, look, I technically haven't been harmed yet. So is the title company and the borrower suit, like, who sues this guy?
I think it's the latter.
I'm extrapolating from another unrelated thing, but you don't have any kind of contract or relationship with him.
No.
So I don't think you can sue him. I mean,
Well, I was told again,
I'm not an attorney.
and speak again, we're none of us providing legal advice. I was basically told, hey, if somebody interferes with a third party contract, which that money was supposed to go to you, then technically I'm harmed, but not. But I guess because I still have the deed of trust, but you know, it's like,
I'm
who
not saying you
sues?
can't sue. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm guessing here, right? Obviously, but I'm saying, who were you harmed by? Well, not him. You were harmed because you didn't get the money from the title company.
I would think the title company's got all kinds of reasons to be able to
sue, but it has to be somebody who you're more directly,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go throw money to sue somebody when I'm like, hey, look, let the title company or the borrower, because right now the borrower is still on the hook for interest and fees and everything on the loan.
Right.
Yeah, your suit's going to be the foreclosure, the Liz Pendens, and then title company, and they're going to have to scramble and figure out how to rectify that, because they're the ones under pressure, not you.
So there's two things that so even if this guy did send me the money, I never approved a short payoff.
So
how do I, then it's like, okay, then what happens with that money? Because I didn't approve it. And even if I take that, I'm like, oh, by the way, like, I never signed off on this. Where's the rest of the money?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't have to release the lien. you still have
Yeah.
the satisfaction that you don't have to
Mhm.
record.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
I think you should just move with foreclosure because this money
we are.
and this lawsuit's going to be tied up for years, and the insurance companies that have
Well-
the policies, they're going to be the ones that are holding the money forever.
Well, and that's where, again, by foreclosing and moving with foreclosure, we're going to force somebody's hand because
Right.
Exactly.
you've got,
Exactly.
basically, I'm just going to use Jay as an example. Jay bought this property and got a loan from Dan. I'm foreclosing on Jamie, who was my borrower, but Jay is also going to lose the property because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to foreclosure. And Dan, the
Right.
lender, is going to be like, wait a second, time out. Like,
Yeah.
what the heck is going on? So me forcing that is going
Right.
to force somebody's
Yep.
hand to get
Yeah,
something resolved.
that seems to be the most logical.
That's going to be the most expedient thing for you is just to start foreclosure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My question would be, okay, the title company should have recorded some type of satisfaction of a mortgage. So what did they record, or have they not recorded something?
They
can't.
haven't, and,
They need his
usually,
signature.
usually they also will get the satisfaction as part of the
Yeah.
closing
Closing
package of
documents,
like,
yeah.
hey, we're doing this here. Can we get you to sign a satisfaction? Now, interestingly enough, I have another loan in another state that the title company never even told me it was closing. And we had a court settlement that said how much we were to get paid. Then all of a sudden, I get one day money wired to me that is short what the settlement was. And then they're like, oh, and yeah, we need the satisfaction. I'm like, well, no, I'm not giving it to you because the settlement said this and you only gave me that. And now it's like, but I can't believe like the title company actually, again, this was down by the lake insurance, down by the lake.
Down by the river.
This
Title
one was,
company,
yeah.
huh?
This
Okay.
one was literally, this title company had no idea what they were doing, like none.
Oh, geez.
And so they sent us like all this money and like never even asked us for like to this day. Literally, I don't think they've ever asked us for the satisfaction. Like, which
Well, they're going to get it
somebody asked
sometime.
for it. For our borrower asked for it. I'm like, well, no, we're not giving it because our settlement agreement said I got this much and I only got this much.
It's not satisfied yet.
Rolling
So-
Stones. Can't get no satisfaction.
Well, that's going to become uncovered when the next person who bought that property, whenever they want to sell, that's going to come up in that title search, you would think.
So what happens now, Chris, if that new buyer sells the property again to someone else, and then there's
Yeah.
going to be a fourth party involved?
Yeah.
This could be awesome.
Yeah.
There could be suits going everywhere. This is a lawyer's
Everywhere.
dream. I'll
So
represent everybody.
Well, ideally, they couldn't sell it again because that title
It's
company
blocked.
would see Chris's lien and
It's not going to be
Yeah.
a cloud. It's going to be a thunderstorm over this
Yeah.
title.
yeah, this one's
It's pretty wild.
Yep. Insurance is going to pay out on this in time. That's what I would say.
so. Question for people: do any of you guys have E&O insurance?
I do not.
What'd you say?
Do
What?
any of you have
What's that?
E&O insurance
Right.
Oh, for the
that?
company?
You're
for
breaking
your
up.
companies? Yeah.
Uh-uh.
No,
don't
I mean
have-
it's
I-
valid. I mean, I don't know any
Yeah.
note investor that does.
I don't.
But
I have
if you-
liability. I have liability coverage.
Yeah, but if you
Yeah, but
ever
your
do
properties-
any type of seller finance, something you might want to look into. Actually, we have it. It's not not super expensive, but it's something that if you were to originate a loan and then somebody was fraudulent or something happened, or you just again something like this happened, you'd be
I have an umbrella
Covered.
policy, but not E&O.
yeah, that wouldn't cover.
Yeah.
E&O is again errors or omissions.
Errors
It's
and
really
omissions.
on a originally, I don't know if you can use it on there's insurance out there you can get too if a borrower, like I had a borrower who did file a lawsuit against us saying, and this one's comical because they got two loans the same day from two lenders, the same lender, and they kept getting sold together. And then they got split up. And then when they got split up, they were okay with paying one of them, but ours, they said, was fraudulent. So
So it was just a first and a second. Is that what it was?
yeah, it was a first and second, and they sued. They lost. and sued again, and we'll see how that ends up.
Down by the river, Dan, that company's, they got their insurance. It's called Yo Fault.
Yo fault.
It's Yo Fault.
Your fault.
So, but I mean, the thing that, you know, you got to realize is there's getting scammed, but then there's just fraud that you have, like Dan's, mine, Jamie's.
Yeah.
You have no control over that. There's nothing, like, I couldn't have stopped that.
Justin, you want me to share my PPP loan fraud story real quickly?
Yeah, we got time.
All right, I'll try to make it fast.
Under 10 minutes.
So I'm trying to remember how, I think the way I initially found out about that something was going on, something was amiss.
So this is you going through the program, right?
What?
This
The
is you going through the PPP program, right?
No.
No. Well,
Okay.
not him, somebody impersonating him.
So for the listener, the PPP loans were for, businesses with employees. That's my understanding. During COVID, the government shut everything down. Then they said, "Hey, we should keep businesses alive. Here's some free money." Basically, well, you could get loans that you could then the loans would be forgiven if you proved that you used the funds properly. Also, there were probably 3 or 4 renditions of this because everything was just thrown out so quickly without a plan. But anyway, no, I was just minding my own business, like, doing my note business, and I have rental properties. And I started to get notifications from this lender that, something about my PPP loan. And then I started getting notifications from the IRS that I owed, I think, $150,000. It was over $100K. And it's like, what is going on? That's when I finally realized, all right, I should respond to this. I thought the lender thing kind of seemed like, marketing or spam or something. I was getting letters about some PPP loans. So anyway, realized once the IRS sent me a letter, okay, this is legit, a legit problem. Basically, I had 2 LLCs that owned rental properties, and one of these LLCs had 2 rental properties that were in Florida, and that's it. No employees. It was no payroll, anything like that. Well, basically, what had happened was someone used my essentially it was identity theft, and pretended to be me, and went into a bank, opened up an bank account in Ohio, and applied for a PPP loan. The next day, literally the next day, because they weren't doing any checks. They were using, automation and AI or whatever to check this stuff.
Clearly didn't work, because how would they have your EIN number?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so that's exactly that. You do need an EIN to open a bank account. And I was told later that this person was 30 pounds lighter and a different skin color. But so, at the end of the day, this guy got, I think it was $90,000 wired the next day, from this lender. Lender didn't care because it's like government money, basically. And so after the 6 months, I'm getting contacted by this lender to prove that I properly allocated the money. Well, I never got the money. I don't know what you're talking about. The guy also went to the extreme measure of filing these quarterly tax returns. I think they're 941s that, with the IRS. And that's why the IRS got involved. And he was stating that I had 12 employees and a payroll of, I want to say $50,000 or $75,000 per month for my business that owned 2 single family rentals in Florida. So this took probably a year. I had to file reports with the FBI, with the FTC, because the SBA, who managed the PPP program, doesn't have an enforcement arm, so you're not able to actually do anything through them. So you have to file some kind of law enforcement report. So that was probably a year of filing all these reports. Fast forward, had to close my LLC, close the bank account, move my rentals to a new entity. Cost me a lot of time and some money and a lot of stress, and then I resolved that way basically. But I mean, I tracked the guy down to somewhere in Georgia, and they were doing this to other people. I found out some other entities that he'd done this to. I contacted them. They didn't seem to care, or at least that he may have done this to. What I think was happening was that there's a website that you register as a foreign entity. So because my rentals were in Florida, I was registered as a foreign entity, in that state.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm almost positive that's what was hacked, and they would get access to that website and then submit these applications for loans and just get free money. And so, I wasn't personally defrauded by this guy. The government was, so we all were, I guess. But it cost me a lot of time and money, and I had to close my LLC and open a new one, close the bank account, attorney's fees, and all that stuff. Probably $5,000, and I didn't do anything wrong. I will say the highlight of the story, the victory, is that the IRS sent me an apology letter. I don't know if anyone else can anyone else on this panel claim that?
Better
You got to frame that.
Yeah, you got to frame that one.
Yeah, that happened.
We are truly sorry this happened to you. Oh, by the way, your taxes are due tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they're going up.
And the penalties will start.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I don't think there's anything I did. Maybe I should have responded more quickly to this lender's notifications. But otherwise, again, the poo just kind of got thrown at me.
I don't know if you could have done anything else to protect yourself.
I gotta say, I don't think so. There was so much abuse with that PPP program. Oh my gosh, all across the country.
If something seems off, you just need to question it and take care of it, quickly. At least figure out if something's valid or not. That's how I'm doing everything now. Like Chris said, he got a couple emails before this call about, the scam with the title company stuff. If I don't recognize them, there's no way I have a HUD statement coming. I'm delete that email,
Right.
They'll call me. They have my information. They'll call me if they really need me. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they would send you something more descriptive, because I've gotten those emails too.
Yeah.
Well, always look at the URL where it's coming from. A lot of times you'll see one digit or one letter different or switched.
So here's one that I'll share that we figured out how this happened too. When we got started, we're hiring people, and people would change their LinkedIn profile. And what we realized was when people changed their LinkedIn profile, they were getting spam emails from quote unquote me that would say, hey, look, accounting's needs your updated, date of birth or social or whatnot. The first day one of our people started, they got an email like, hey, I need you to stop at Target to pick up a bunch of gift cards to mail to some investors. And they literally started driving, and then called another colleague and why would Chris want this? They're like, he doesn't. And then we realized it was a scam. And what we realized is every time we had somebody start and change their LinkedIn profile, they would get hit up with an email from a scammer, because it's easy to find out who the CEO is or who this information is, and be able to try and figure out, okay, what's and they would just try and figure out. Some people leave their email public, or you can easily find company email addresses or something, or just guess what they are. And we're hitting up people when they change jobs.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I did not know that either.
Interesting.
Well, this was a real eye awakener episode today, gentlemen.
Wow.
Thanks for sharing all these stories. I'm sure it's going to help somebody. If you stayed around this long to listen to all our stories, thanks for being a part of this channel and listening to us. And Chris, I think you have a special price for your upcoming conference that you want to announce to everyone today, right?
I do. We have a discount code. Not sure what it is, so email. We do have a discount that if you reach out, I will definitely get that over to you because my brain is completely scrambled today. And the reason why, I think I know what it is, but I don't want to give out the wrong code. So we use LastPass. If you don't know what LastPass is, it's like one place for all your passwords. For some reason, all my devices had me reset and have to like put in like the new the master passcode. And I thought I had it written down, and I wrote down like the old one, not the new one. So I had to reset it. So now only thing I have stuck in my head is my LastPass password, not what is. I believe try 7E 2025. Try that. You'll get discounts for the conference. And if that doesn't work, reach out and I'll make sure you get it. But do book before the end of the month, because at the end of the month, ticket prices will be going up because we do have a limited amount of people available at the conference.
You're not going to give out your LastPass password?
Yeah.
That's what the Brady was going to do.
What's your dog's name? What's your dog's name, Jamie?
Blue.
And what street did you grow up on?
Alabama Road.
So there you go, Blue Alabama Road. That's my LastPass password.
Nice.
All uppercase, lowercase.
Oh, yeah.
What's your mother's maiden name?
There you go.
Don't talk about my mother.
Yeah. No mama jokes, okay? No mama jokes.
So, Chris, it's the name of it. I don't want to butcher it up, so I'll let
It's
you
the
put it in.
Paper Trail Conference. So
Paper Trail Conference. Okay.
Yep. So go to papertrailconference.com.
Okay. All right, and that
Threw
is
me for a curveball. I'm like, oh man,
September 15th,
18th to 20th.
September 18th, 20th. So that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes.
Okay.
And hosting a little event that Wednesday before if you come in early for you East Coasters.
Sure.
So.
Awesome.
And the hotel block is actually, whoever you got working on that did a really nice job because they've got the discounted pricing good for the entire week.
Yes.
If you want to go out there and spend a little extra time out in
Saturday
Chandler,
and
Arizona.
Sunday are restaurant week there. So if you're a food connoisseur, that Saturday and Sunday is restaurant week. So you could come a few days early. There's a golf course on, I think, our hitting range right there. It includes bucket of balls every day for the driving range at the hotel. And then, it's restaurant week. So.
Cool. I know where Dan and I will be.
Yeah.
There you go.
Playing golf. So, all right, guys. Good episode today. Thanks for being on as always. Thanks for sharing stories. And my mouse is not working. And I guess we're going to see you guys in July. It's already going to be halfway through the year. What do you think about that?
It's going
Rocking
fast.
and rolling.
Going quick.
Going fast. That's right.
All right.
Be interesting to see what the last half provides.
Time flies when you're having fun, boys.
There you go.
PHUN, fun.
Nice.
All right, see you guys.
All right. Take care, everybody. All right. Bye-bye.